Today in a poll rally in Rajasthan, the Prime Minister lauded a recently released film, Vaccine War. He praised the movie for showcasing India's achievement that helped save lives across the world. The point he was making was larger, about how within India there seem to be forces which are inimical, not just to a political party or the present government, but they extrapolate that hatred, that dislike to oppose things that may be from India, of India, and needed for India. Vaccine war being one of them.
कितने बड़े गर्व की बात है कि भारत ने मेड इन इंडिया कोरोना वैक्सीन बनाकर अपने देशवासियों के साथ साथ दुनिया के करोड़ों लोगों का जीवन बचाया। अब कांग्रेस को ये मेड इन इंडिया वैक्सीन से भी बहुत परेशानी हो रही है। वैक्सीन वॉर नाम की फिल्म आई है। मैंने सुना है कि भारत में कोविड से लड़ाई लड़ने के लिए हमारे देश के वैज्ञानिकों ने जो रात दिन मेहनत की, अपनी लैब में एक ऋषि की तरह साधना की और उसमें हमारी महिला वैज्ञानिकों ने भी अद्भुत काम किया। उन सारी बातों को एक बढ़िया तरीके से वैक्सीन वॉर फिल्म अभी जो आई है, शायद इसी सप्ताह आई है, उसमें इसको दर्शाया गया है।
All right, joining us now on the show, we have the director himself, Mr. Vivek Agnihotri. Thank you very much for speaking to us. First up, were you surprised with the Prime Minister actually speaking about your film, and that too in the larger context of how India has fought and won a war, but there still seem to be naysayers?
Oh yeah, I am in Bhopal actually. I was addressing in a school, and when I got down from the dais, then somebody showed it to me, and I would say very pleasantly surprised, and my gratitude to the Prime Minister. But I think we are perhaps the only country where the celebration of scientists in a film has naysayers, and there are people who are attacking and they want to destroy the film, and they are running a campaign against the film, and this is very, very shocking and surprising and a strange behavior to me.
Now tell us a little bit about that, because I was seeing a lot of people, there was some people also saying boycott vaccine war. Some gentlemen also said कि काट की हांडी बार बार नहीं चढ़ती, जो कश्मीर के मुद्दे पर आपने पैसे कमाए हैं वो अब वैक्सीन पे नहीं होने वाले हैं. How do you deal with this criticism?
See, we had to, if the film was meant to make big monies, I would have made Kashmir Files 2. This much acumen and intelligence I have. I mean, who in his weirdest dreams would go and make a film on vaccine? Vaccine is not a subject of film. But I wanted to make it because it's a tribute to my own mother. It's a tribute to all Indian mothers and all these women scientists. Their pain. They said nobody even knows that the science which saved them is called virology, and which is so true. So I thought it's very important to tell this story, and Kashmir Files' success empowered me and Pallavi that we are being able to make this film. So we said, why not use this? Why do you get empowered? You get empowered so you give back something to your audience, to society. And that's why we made this film. It's a very, very risky, tricky business. And we always knew this film will grow slowly with word of mouth, and which is why we did not spend any kind of efforts or money on big ticket marketing. We just kept screening films, kept creating word of mouth. And I'm very glad, and I'm so thankful that the students and women, they have made it a mission. They are becoming brand ambassadors, and slowly the film is picking up movement. And I hope after Prime Minister has said this, lots of schools and colleges would be interested in showing it to their children. I want to give you today only in the morning, one school chain in Bhopal, they committed to show it to their 20,000 students. So it will happen slowly, but it is happening.
In context of what was said in the rally by the Prime Minister, he also said कि कुछ ऐसे लोग हैं जिनको भारत में कुछ भी हो उससे तकलीफ होती है, मेड इन इंडिया वैक्सीन होती है उससे भी तकलीफ होती है. Was that also of course, you've spoken at length about the struggle of the scientists, people who work behind the scenes, but did you also want to highlight how there were concerted attempts to try and abort this Indian project, which is why I called it the vaccine war?
Of course. I mean, in the film I have shown, and I have shown it very daringly and honestly, and I am willing to stand on in any witness, in any court of the world, I can defend every single thing we have shown in the film. There were people who were on the payrolls of some pharma lobbies, and they were promoting Pfizer. Beyond doubt, I know that. Okay, the same people. Now, the same people have a nexus with political parties. I mean, they have their own political alignment, and I have nothing against that. Otherwise, tell me one thing. Why would a film based purely on a book written by the Director General of ICMR, a vaccine which the world recognizes, would be called propaganda by some political leaders and political parties? Propaganda is not a word of common people. It's a jargon of political parties. So the problem is that political parties have a problem that by seeing this film, if the credit goes to the leadership of the country, then they will see it as a victory of Narendra Modi or maybe the might of Narendra Modi's leadership. And they don't want this to happen. The whole problem is that they have forgotten to distinguish between the government and the country. The lab in Pune, NIV, will stay there for 100 years, irrespective of any government. The contribution today, we are alive and we are breathing, is because of the scientists. It's not that the government suddenly has come and they have become better scientists. They were always good scientists. And so they are our new heroes, and they don't like these heroes to be celebrated. That's my understanding.
You know, some people also turned your argument only on its head and said, look, the labs in Pune, the ICMR have been there for ages. They have been there for decades. अब हर चीज में मोदी भक्ति की, अब मोदी जी की वजह से ये हो गया, मोदी जी की वजह से ये हो गया. That in the garb of talking about vaccine, the idea was to glorify this government.
So what's wrong in glorifying the government if government does anything good? I remember as a child, Indira Gandhi won the war. Every single person, including the opposition, Atal Bihari Vajpayee praised her and she called her Durga or something. Maybe he didn't call, I don't know. But I remember that it was talk of the town that he praised the Prime Minister very much. If the Prime Minister does something good, what's wrong? After all, he's our Prime Minister. What? First of all, Congress and AAP and all these parties who are attacking this film have to decide. Are we a democracy or not? Every second minute they say death of democracy, which means the most important thing in their political agenda is democracy. Doesn't democracy ask you to choose a government which you believe in, which you think will do good things? Or you choose a government thinking they are your enemies? What kind of stupid people we are becoming in this world? Congress is becoming really mindless. If the government does something good, somebody protects my life, why shouldn't I glorify and celebrate that? I don't see, I'm not one of those who think that government is my enemy. Sorry, I'm not that.
Because on the one hand, there is a charge of glorifying the government. On the other, that just because some journalists were asking questions, they are being demonized. Not everyone is supposed to be, as I saw in one, it was a YouTube video or something, हर कोई थाली पीटने वाला नहीं होता है. कुछ लोग सच में सवाल पूछते हैं. And in today's India, anyone who asks question is called almost a semi-terrorist or a propagandist by Mr. Agnihotri.
You are asking me questions. Am I calling you that? You are asking me questions. I didn't say a word. I'm answering everything. And I have answered every single left, right, all kinds of things. But this is something I have not invented. The court of India, I mean, Congress has to decide. AAP has to decide. All these leftists, the ecosystem has to decide whether they believe in the constitution or not, law of the land or not, if yes or no. If they do, then the court of Telangana has given an order, not me. The film just states the factual thing that these people did that. They were spreading fake news, fake articles, 14 fake articles. Telangana court asked the Wire, I'm taking the name for the first time on public channel, asked the Wire, it's in public domain. It's a 100 crore rupee defamation case. They asked them to take down 14 fake articles and directed them not to ever write a single word about Covaxin. Now the thing is, it's a court order. If I'm showing it in my film, what's wrong? I mean, and the second thing which I really, really want to understand is that asking questions is not such a noble thing. Ask questions, don't accuse. They were accusing ICMR and NIV scientists at that time non-stop. Every single scientist I met, their biggest pain was that when they were busy with making the process, in the process of the vaccine, certain journalists were hell-bent on defaming, demoralizing and doing their character assassination. This is what every scientist has told me. This is their pain. Do you think their pain I should not reflect in my film? Who should I believe more? These agenda-driven journalists who stand guilty in the court of law of India, or the scientists who saved my life? You decide if you are a filmmaker, whether I have shown both the sides.
Vivek, tell us about some of these testimonies, because, we see a fictionalized version of it, but you spoke to the actual scientists, of what they were hearing when all of these stories were being written. What did they tell you about what was going on in their mind? A part of it, of course, we have seen reflected in the film, where they say, India can't do it. And they were constantly being told, India can't do this, India can't do this. Tell us some of these personal experiences that were shared with you.
See, we have tried to show them in a very, very sophisticated manner, in a very dignified manner. I haven't gone into lots of details. We have it on record, like we made a documentary of Kashmir Files. Maybe I'll make it soon and then we'll disclose it. But one thing is for sure, if you have seen the film, when the vaccine is made, if you see Pallavi's character, Dr. Priya Abraham, she goes out, there's a small child in the gun, and she says, now media's mouth will be shut. Right? And that is exactly the state of mind of these scientists, because they felt that they were trying to do something which has not been done before. And at that time, they were being attacked. It's like they were doing something anti-national. That is the accusation. These journalists had no clue that it was legal to do tests on monkeys, but they were writing that they are cruel and unethical and things like that without knowing the law of international law of non-primate, the primate trials. Then similarly about the phase 3 trial, the entire this ecosystem came of these certain journalists. I'm not saying the entire media. Actually, media played a very positive role. Most of the media played a very positive role in helping eradicate vaccine hesitancy. But certain a group of journalists who were, I believe, were on the payroll of these pharma lobbies, they started writing every possible thing that people do not take this vaccine, people don't believe in this vaccine, and they wanted to shake the confidence in vaccine. And the scientists felt very hurt about it, which is why when we did a screening only for the scientists, 300 scientists from ICMR and AIMS, whenever these journalists came and whatever they said on screen, they were like the hall was thundering with claps and claps and claps. So it's like some soldiers I have met, lots of some majors and some generals I have met, they also have this pain that they don't get the kind of appreciation from a certain section of media when they do something heroic. Kashmir, every single army personnel, whenever I meet them at the airports here and there, they come and hug me, they thank me, they take pictures. They say, you are the first person who has helped save our image. Otherwise, Bollywood only shows that army rapes people in Kashmir, and which is an absolute lie and a very, very pathetic lie on top of that. Imagine how these soldiers and then families feel. Somebody whose father is posted in Kashmir as a major, and when they see these so-called films on Kashmir and they show that army is raping women, how the child feels. So somebody has to tell their side of story also.
It's interesting how in the recent past, a lot of connecting the dots is happening, because you spoke about vaccine hesitancy. You, of course, named one news portal. Another news portal also recently in the news because of the arrest of its editor-in-chief, coincidentally also had a vaccine angle.
Of course. I mean, I did not name really, in film it's called the Daily Wire, but it represents all these so-called unregulated websites and channels. And though the journalist is only called Rohini Singh Dhulia, and it was, I didn't know when I was doing it that there was a very popular journalist with that name. I'm really, I feel bad about it now. I regret I should have done that. I should have kept it some other name but that character represents not just one journalist, many journalists. And this accusation that I'm saying media is not good is wrong. Do you go and ask somebody who shows a corrupt police officer? Other police officers don't feel guilty about it. They don't say, why are you meaning the entire police force? When you show a corrupt IS officer or a politician, it doesn't mean the entire political force is corrupt. So showing one person, one journalist who's corrupt doesn't mean that rest of the media is equally corrupt. All I'm saying is that rest of the media played a very positive role, but but there were some people who wanted to sabotage India's vaccine project.
You know, you've written about NewsClick as well when the raids happened and the arrests happened. A lot of people are saying that, you know, this whole idea of Chinese funding to do all this is a big hoax to, you know, कि एक China angle ले आएंगे and then to go after people who are being critical.
So anything which you don't agree with, you call it propaganda. Anything when somebody is accused or something is discovered, then they say this is all hoax. But if they discover something, then that is the biggest truth on this earth. Nothing can be truer than that. I mean, this is the irony of these times. We live in a divided times. But I think as a storyteller, I tell stories which I believe in, where I think that somebody is oppressed and their voice needs to be heard. Same thing I did in Kashmir Files. We have done in Vaccine War also. The film was about celebration, but we also wanted to tell what these people feared most. And they feared who they thought were like their enemy. We have shown that. And it's an enemy from the scientist's point of view. Who am I or you to decide what they think and who they think as a threat? They saw a certain group of scientists and some social influencers as a threat to Indian vaccine project. I have portrayed it with utmost honesty, sincerity, and I am willing to stand in any court to defend that. If the people who are accusing me of any kind of bias or prejudice, I am willing to invite them. If you hear any, I'm willing to come to your show or any show in the world, and I will be happy to answer any question. Invite them if they have something. I'll do that.
Mr. Vivek Agnihotri.
Otherwise, Padmaja, it means that what they are saying is a hoax, and that is propaganda.
Well, Mr. Vivek Agnihotri, thank you very much for speaking to us, and the best of luck with Vaccine Wars. I want to just end by telling the viewers there's one very poignant dialogue in the film where a lady scientist says कि हमारे पास वो रॉकेट नहीं जिसकी पूंछ में आग लगा करके वो ऊपर जाए और सब लोग ताली बजाए, हम पीछे बैठ करके वैक्सीन बनाते हैं. To know of such people, at least go out, watch the film, give these people, these silent warriors, their due for winning the vaccine war. Thanks, Mr. Agnihotri.